2025 was an amazing year for games, but there was surprisingly its fair share of disappointments and games that just didn't live up to the expectations that developers had previously set. Welcome everyone to my top 10 most disappointing games of 2025. I was hyped for this one when Sony first revealed this back at the end of 2022. It looked so amazing, and I wanted to find out more about the world and its story, since the combat looked just like Final Fantasy XVI, but better. I was blown away by the flair it had when it was first revealed. When you look at the game itself, it is a far cry from that badass trailer that we saw back in 2022. The game just felt like it was still in development and wasn't quite ready for when they pushed it out the doors. Even the voices felt off. Why are they so flat and lifeless? Lost Soul aside, ironically, lacked soul, and it feels like it came out a decade too late.
It became something that added to the mystique of Mortal Kombat.
Flawless victory.
Now this was surprising to me. I loved what Capcom was doing with their collection fighting games, like Marvel vs. Capcom and Capcom vs. SNK, so it'd be natural for me to get excited for the MK trilogy, especially since I never had the chance to go back and play some of those older ones, which I've always wanted to do. There was something wrong with how this collection played. There was severe input delay across the board that for a fighting game makes it unplayable. You know something is horribly wrong for your fighting game collection when Maximilian Dood's excitement goes from pure joy to utter terror and frustration.
Our sins have borne. Is an oath worth the weight of a crown?
For me, Obsidian has been on a disappointment streak. I might have high expectations for what they had done in Fallout New Vegas, but I still want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Avowed was shaping up to be their comeback game, and quite possibly the return to form of the glory days of New Vegas. This game just felt like they had run out of energy. Talent trees are extremely limited, and you have no access to special abilities. Overall, this game suffers from its lack of good animations and immersion that is pretty non-existent due to the NPCs not reacting to pretty much anything you do, even if you steal stuff from them. Maybe Obsidian can deliver next time, but I won't be counting on it.
We sure cause a lot of explosions.
This time, it's some next level shit, I'm telling you.
Now I know this is probably going to be a surprise to most of you and most likely spark some outrage, but I don't care. It has to be said. I love Split Fiction and I think it's a great game, for the most part. The disappointment for me lies in the direction that they decided to go with and how they wanted to execute it. I honestly did not care about this generic story about two writers who only like one genre and at the end they become friends. I hate to have this game on this list because I truly love the gameplay and it's probably the best it's ever been from Hazelight. Take for instance these side stories. These are fantastic ideas. I love the evolution of a pig becoming a hot dog, or even a drawn adventure that has you play as a character that has been drawn on paper. These amazing ideas were way too short, and they were few and far between. With split fiction, it was always flipping you through fantasy and sci-fi themed levels, with a bit of a twist or a new gadget to have. It got stale for me, and I kept thinking if there would be more side stories or something to surprise me more, it would have been less of a disappointment. But towards the end, it all felt pretty samey. I'm hoping Joseph Fares can really embrace the creativeness of his team and go back to the wackiness and randomness that we all know and love so much. I think it's safe to say that Doom Dark Ages was a massive step back from its predecessor, Doom Eternal. I was so excited they were making another Doom game with a seemingly cool medieval theme. All of that had quickly washed away when I realized this was not a sequel to Eternal. This was a prequel. On top of that, the gameplay loop had been reworked and is now nowhere near as fast-paced as Doom. So many things felt out of place as well. Like this new shield that Doom guy gets and he can throw it around like he's Captain America. And let's not forget about the awful vehicles that they make look so badass, like this giant mech suit. And even this random dragon you can ride is hilariously bad. You only get two options, shoot and move. That's it, I'm not kidding. I expected way more from Doom after Eternal had become one of my favorite first-person shooter games ever. I really don't know where they can go with Doom next, but wherever they take it, I hope it goes back to their fast and intense roots. I adored playing Borderlands 1 and 2 back in the day with my brother. It was just a fun co-op game to play, and the art style and characters was just a chef's kiss. I even dabbled with Borderlands 3 out of curiosity, and while liking it to some extent, I did think it was a step back in many ways from 1 and 2. When Gearbox had announced Borderlands 4, I was filled with hope that Gearbox could steer the Borderlands franchise back into the right direction again. And lo and behold, it's nothing new. It's just as bland as Borderlands 3. And I think Borderlands 3 has more charm. Everything was just outright boring. I couldn't believe how generic these vault characters were. Once you reach a certain point in the game, all of the enemies start to get recycled, and you'll be wondering how much longer until the game is over. The story and its characters won't be enough to grab you. So if it's just simple, generic mayhem that you're after, Borderlands 4 will have you covered.
Let's go!
This was very much anticipated from Nintendo fans across the globe, even before its tease at the Nintendo Switch 2 showcase. It was going to be a tough task since Mario Kart 8 was one of their best ones in the series, and also best-selling. It had set the bar insanely high. I feel the open world aspect is just a waste of time and resources. With nothing to do in between levels, they just feel empty and boring. It takes away from the racing feel when you're just trying to get to the next track. The drifting to me is key in any kart racer, and the drifting in Mario Kart World feels so off. It is just jarring to me. And for some unknown reason, you have to change Donkey Kong
To his movie version?
I don't understand why they would only do that for him and not Mario or anybody. It's just so strange to me, since I had always liked DK's design. Oh, and also there's a cow, I guess. All in all, it just pales in comparison to Mario Kart 8.
Fear is a powerful thing. David Mason. Menendez.
I don't even know where to begin on this one. Black Ops has remained one of the best FPS experiences of the past 2 generations, and includes my all-time favorite mode in the game, Zombies. And instead of going to the next Call of Duty game, they just did another Black Ops game, because I guess the last one sold well enough. With this one, I had no idea what to expect. All I was hoping for was a decent game with possibly zombies back, although zombies can never return to its glory days without Blundell. The whole idea of it just made no sense. You have these weird dream sequences, and that's basically an excuse to do all this wacky shit you would never see in a Black Ops game. After Black Ops 6 being a missed opportunity for me, this one did not help it one bit. At this point, we have to go back and enjoy the amazing games that were Black Ops 1 through 4. I know that Jason Blundell was heading to a different studio to work for PlayStation, but we all know how that turned out.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Hopefully things can turn out for him in the future. I would love to see a legendary comeback, but maybe those days are in the past, and maybe the same can be said for Black Ops. Now, when this was revealed at the 2024 Game Awards, I was over the moon about it. I could not wait for another Sonic racing game, especially after it being over like 10 years since I played the last one. I was disappointed right off the bat to find out that Sumo Digital was not going to be working on this game with Team Sonic, as I feel they were a big part of the All-Stars Racing games' success. It totally felt choppy, and the drifting is absolutely abysmal.
The steering is shockingly sludgy. There's very little sense of acceleration or momentum. It's very constant and glidey and just really unsatisfying. The weirdest thing is the drift. Entering the drift is very slow and gradual. You don't get the satisfying snap when you lock into it like in other classic games.
I was going to give this game a chance, but after trying to convince myself for hours on the beta that this was a solid game, I just couldn't bear it anymore. I also don't get these random crossovers other than the fact for it to be a pure cash grab. Minecraft, SpongeBob, and Hatsune Miku don't belong in any Sonic game. It would have been better for them to focus on their own IPs and bring a lot of these classic ones back, like they did with their previous games. Seeing them fumble it with such potential is incredibly disappointing. I was even hyped about their animation that they had done, which looked spectacular, and I wanted them to really deliver on a great racing game. Unfortunately, they just couldn't meet the quality that was set with Sumo Digital, and instead they cash out on the most obvious idea that is going to ensure its return. And don't even get me started on that fucking song. It definitely does not touch the kick-ass soundtrack that All Stars had. Hopefully in the future, Sumo and Team Sonic can collaborate once again and make a timeless car racer. Until then, I'll be playing the Sonic All-Stars games while I patiently wait.
Blueprints is an atmospheric architectural adventure.
Easily one of my most anticipated games of last year. Blueprints was a wolf in sheep's clothing. I was so baffled to play this game when it finally came out and realized that this was not a puzzle game, but actually a roguelike disguised as a puzzle game. Let me break it down for you. The game starts you off with a certain amount of steps. If you reach 0, then your run ends. But you can find food items that can replenish your steps. You start by simply opening doors and choosing a room with 3 options for you. The bottom rooms are more common and you can find resources like gems and keys to open up doors of higher levels. The crazy part is that you have to make it all the way to the antechamber without losing all your steps or running into a dead end. I cannot describe with words how infuriating this experience was for me, and how badly I wanted to quit and delete it for good. But I was too deep in the rabbit hole. I had to keep going. I hate how random everything is in this game. Anything from items you find to really resourceful keys, or even just rooms that you're drafting. It's all random. The mini games, if you can even call them that, wear off on you pretty quickly. And I can't even explain how many times I had to do that fucking dartboard puzzle. It's also worth talking about how this game is completely lifeless. There are no other NPCs. There isn't anyone to talk to. You could argue that some of the rooms are cool and unique, but the novelty of the way the rooms look gets old fast. Last thing I'll say is that this game put me in so much stress with this run that I was sure I was going to fail. I had done everything right, but the only thing was my steps were about to run out, and I'd have to start everything all from the beginning again. Luckily, there was some food that randomly spawned, and that was the difference of me beating the game. So there you have it. Those were my disappointing games of 2025. If you want to disagree with me, that's cool. Give me your disappointing games list and we can compare. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.